This is a disclaimer. This podcast features 4 professional idiots who share their insights and anecdotes. This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. This podcast represents the opinions of the guests and should not be taken as medical, legal, or professional advice.
All right, we are a go. Okay, it's recording now.
Also,
all right.
Holy shit, it's working. We're not bouncing anymore.
It's working. Don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. Okay. All right. The theme today, hold on. I have to remind myself. It's well, that's new, right?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I couldn't remember.
I was going to say, if that hadn't have been today, I was going to be like, I don't care when it is. I need to be there because, as you will see, most of you it'll be like, oh, this one little thing changed. Oh, now we kind of do this differently. And I'm like, it's been 6 years since I graduated and everything is different.
Yeah. I would say there aren't a lot of things that are different in terms of the world of sports medicine. So I'll be speaking much more generally in terms of the world of medicine. But I figure that's kind of appropriate still for the topic.
I was going to say,
because this is like a nice sequel to the Future episode we did in the first season. Because this is like talking about mine circles back a lot in terms of like, oh, hey, that thing I talked about that probably will happen has happened in a year's time.
I mean, I know I was talking to a friend who does like rehabilitation for sportsmen. And I'm like, so what's the biggest thing that's changed since you've gotten out of school? He goes, honestly, concussion protocol. Like he's probably 5 years older than you. So yeah, handling concussions is totally different.
So concussion, and that's the thing, is I just had a conference this past week, and that's pretty much the only thing that's interesting is that concussion management and return to play protocols are wildly different than what they were 20 years ago when concussion was invented. Welcome back, everyone, to Overqualified Idiots. My name is Dan Casey, the host, sports medicine primary care specialist. Or wait, I said that wrong. Primary care sports specialist. Dan Casey, MD. I am joined again by my brother, Patrick Casey, JD.
All day, every day.
Well, it's been a little while since we recorded, so thank you.
It hasn't changed. I'm still Patrick Casey, JD. Yep.
Awesome. And here with me also is Alex K.
Hello.
JD. I know we have video now. The timing, the fact that we don't talk over each other and we can wave to each other. It's great. I love this. I like posting video.
Motioning wildly,
Yeah.
You can actually see.
The only thing the audience is missing is Alex's very polite wave with his hello.
And your brother flipping you off.
Well, yeah, he does.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hear that over the recording every time it happens too. So
it has a sound effect. You hear whoosh. And last but certainly not least, Bengineer here with us to regale us with all of the updates. So yeah, how's everybody? As always, we start with small talk. How's everybody doing?
Oh,
Patrick, go. Okay.
Well, I mean, I found out yesterday this won't play until June 27th, but I was voted best lawyer of Mankato, the city I live in. So
very nice.
Oh wait, hold on. We have sound effects for this now.
You do?
Oh no, wait, where are they? Oh no, it's been like 3 weeks since we recorded. I forgot everything.
And we only did this once before on this platform. So
yeah, Patrick's the best lawyer in the world.
No, just Mankato.
And
then, of course, our firm also got voted best.
Oh God, how long does this go for? There we go.
Okay, stop it.
Sorry.
So our law firm got voted best in Mankato because my partner and I both got nominated. So yeah,
well,
so
congratulations.
The law firm and I. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Very nice.
So, like, what's next? Best of Minnesota? Is there a regionals?
Well, I already got the Minnesota Attorney of the Year award for 2019, man. I mean, this is just icing on the cake. So,
well, very nice. Wow. All right, just go ahead and pat yourself
hey,
on
you
the back.
asked me what's going on. You asked me what's going on. I mean, that's what's going on. I'm an awesome lawyer. That's all there is to it, right?
Yeah,
and I'm humble too.
Humble
Yeah,
too.
your parents
Oh,
named
yes.
him Pat because they knew he'd always be patting himself on the back, right?
Ah, you saw what I did there.
I'm an oldest child, and I'm a Leo. What do you expect? I'm the only person who's going to give myself accolades, anyways. So.
That's true. I feel in our family we don't give each other praise. Well, no, that's not true. Honestly, dude, you deserve that. You work your ass off, and people obviously like you for some reason. So
I just barely got back from work. I got up this morning at 7. I went into work at about 8:30, and I just came back, and then I'll have to go in again tomorrow because there's things to do.
well, thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, I'll be here again tomorrow.
Yeah. Don't tell the list. Don't date the podcast. Yeah, it's gonna be a
I
while before this episode
apologize.
comes out. Alex, what's new with you, man?
Not as much as I'd like, but you know, it's life, living life.
Gotcha.
You
How's
just
the
got
fam?
a job offer on the podcast.
Yeah, Pat
so.
Pat just offered me a job on the podcast. We'll see if that goes anywhere.
I'll let you know when we start making money. I can pay you and crisp high fives till then.
No, not
no,
for the podcast, for
Not-
me.
Yeah, not for the podcast.
Like a legal
for his
job.
offer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait, that's real. Hold on, I thought you were just
Yes.
joking. I didn't
No.
catch on to that at all. Offered a job on the podcast. Okay, you can understand why I got confused. It's me if we're talking about, but dude,
Well, no, I
that's-
know that my words were not chosen very, very carefully. But
Come on,
there it is.
wordsmith.
Not very lawyer-like.
He took his work hat off when he got home and put on his, is that a baseball?
Backwards Cubbies hat. Yeah.
Ah, that's right, Cubs. Ben, what's new with you, man?
I don't think we've recorded. I also just got back, it was 2 weeks ago, from a ginormous conference for space. It was overwhelming and a
Yeah?
lot. And I talked to a
Ooh.
ton of people. So yeah, got a lot of irons in the fire, as it were, at the moment. So
Very nice, man. That's how you do it. We talked about the job finding episode, a few weeks ago, and it's no longer half what you know, half who you know. It's like all who you know. So
Oh, yeah,
that's the way to
absolutely.
go about it. Yeah, no, I got back from a conference, so it's perfect. I feel like a lot of us have a lot to talk about, and that we've learned a lot, and it's time to share our knowledge. So, the theme of today, or the episode's theme, is, well, that's new. I feel like in the first season we talked about the future and what we expected and what might change. Well, the problem is the future is approaching rapidly, between AI, which I also talked about, and everything that's basically blitzing the future market. Everything just happening so fast that we talked about what we expected to change in our fields a year ago is already happening, or at least in mine. So who's dying to go first? Because this is a edutainment episode. We're actually going to teach people stuff.
oh, you're gonna have to tell me when to shut up, because
All right, you go last. You'll be-
I said. So you want me to show you how quickly my field's evolving compared to everyone else's? Because everyone's going to be like, I mean, this one little thing changed. No, everything has changed since I graduated.
I only graduated a
I-
year ago, and there's some big shit happening in patent law. Strangely enough, like really big
Well,
shit.
that makes
Really?
sense, though.
Yes,
Does
surprisingly.
that have anything
so.
to do with like the Florida DeSantis?
No, it has
Disney
nothing to
stuff,
do
or
with
is it
him.
Just nothing.
No, absolutely nothing to do with him. It has a lot to do with the Supreme Court doing some weird shit a year ago, actually a couple of years ago, and it's finally coming into effect now. But we'll get to that.
Gotcha. Pat, anything exciting in the world of law now?
Well, in
Compared to
the
when
great
you
state of
practiced,
Minnesota. Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going to talk about the 20 years that I've been in practice, but the House and the Senate here in the great state of Minnesota has passed a marijuana bill. They're doing the consolidated session to iron out what the final bill they send to the governor is. There's been tons of different changes, at least in the last few months, about how we hear cases in all of the districts in the great state of Minnesota. So, yeah, I've got local news changes, but not like groundbreaking stuff. If you want me to go into it,
But is that Go ahead.
Sorry, was this before or after the state of Minnesota accidentally legalized edibles because I forget if it was their House or their Senate didn't read their bill, and I have to imagine the people working under them went, "We're just not going to tell them," and then they accidentally legalized edibles.
Well, I would suggest that
Sorry,
like
what?
the Republican-controlled House had a little bit of egg on their face when they did pass that edibles bill. And that might be why the Democrats control all the houses of government as well as the governor's mansion since the last election. I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny that there's a correlation between those two things, but certainly it seems, the whole Nancy Pelosi quote, we got to pass the bill to find out what's in it. So anyways, with the Democrats controlling both houses and the governor's mansion, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that legislation was going to pass.
Right.
The big piece of it that's important to me, though, is the section that's in the Senate bill that's not in the House bill. And I know everybody's listening going, what is that? No, but really it's important because in one bill, there's stuff about how people's prior records are can be expunged automatically, and that it'll just be as an operation of law. And if the courts don't comply, then, people like me get to go tell the courts they got to do their job. Or if the House version of that portion, then it's just going to be kind of, the Wild West on expungements of marijuana related charges. So, which is to say, I'd probably take the gamble, even if they don't have it, to file expungements on behalf of people to get those drug offenses that are marijuana related off of their record in light of the legalization. Even if the legislature doesn't act, what reason does prosecutor have now to have something on somebody's record that they can't enhance anymore, that they can't use to enhance? So what's the point? So there's a lot of excitement there, so that to make sure that people have clean, records here locally, but more importantly, to be able to try each of the various, strains of marijuana that may or may not come into the local dispensaries that already exist here in Mankato, and see which one I like best. I don't know.
I was waiting for it. So I was gonna say that brings up a really interesting ethical argument of like, how you can't give the one thing money can't buy back is time. So people who are serving time for minor drug possession or whatever the charge may be, what the fuck do you do for that besides expunge it off the record? Just good luck. Sorry, this happened to you. Not now.
People get
10 years ago.
Get kicked out of prison or jail, and now the law has changed and it's not a crime. Although I will suggest that in the not too distant future, we're going to see a very significant uptick in, drug related DUIs. I mean, that's going to be more prevalent. Mm-hmm. And you look to all the other states that have legalized it, and that's true too. I mean, there is an uptick. I think like even alcohol, if you're going to use marijuana, do it in moderation. And if it takes you 15 minutes to get your butt off the couch through power of will, you probably shouldn't put the keys in the ignition. I'm just saying. I mean, that shouldn't be the baseline barometer, but there's some things that you already know as far as that. And I didn't mean to make this into the weed episode from the what's new.
You heard it here, folks. What's new? What's new in law? Weed.
It is kind of new.
I mean,
marijuana.
It is because there's that legal fiction that somehow it's still illegal at the federal government level, but all of these states are like, well, F you, Fed, we're passing legalization laws, and come, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. I mean, effectively, how do you enforce it? I mean, you can't. So,
but at the same time, like, I may still I may have to get, clearance or have work on government contracts. So it's not legalized federally. So it's legalized in my state, but I can't do anything with it.
Like if you work across state lines, that can become a factor.
And the big thing still is banking stuff. You have to buy everything in cash, and that you cannot work through banks. You cannot, it's almost everywhere that's the case. As far as I know, there's nowhere that you can use your credit card to buy marijuana. You just can't.
Local credit unions who don't have to comply with federal regulations can be utilized to obtain loans. I mean, there's some lending institutions that you could get legitimate loans through, or you could, tap your local loan shark. But no, in all reality, I mean, yeah, you're right. There are some impediments, and I don't understand the holdup on the federal government legalizing it, because they could take their bite of the apple in the process too. I mean, they could get their piece of the proverbial pie, and it looks like all of the marijuana sales, based on both bills passing, that it's going to be like an 8 or 9% tax on all sales to the great state of Minnesota for marijuana.
Hasn't that been the whole like argument for it for like a decade now? Is like legalize it, tax it like tobacco, if not more, enforce it like alcohol, and just like Colorado reaped in profits for years, so, and are still doing so. But I don't know, the reasons behind why it was illegal first are archaic. The reasons why it's still illegal are even more so.
Well, and it's interesting that you talk about it. And again, this should be not the weed episode. We'll probably wrap this.
Hey man, that's how you started it.
I know
you started this.
But from a medical professional standpoint, I mean, in part, big pharma plays a role, and too bad we don't have a pharmacist here to comment on such things, to talk about, smart pharmacy, or any others for that matter, how that role played in this process. We're happy to pump people with opioids, but, THC in various forms as
that could cause real harm. No, you don't want to do that.
No, but I mean, as much harm as smoking a cigarette.
The amount of evidence for cannabinoids and pain relief in chronic conditions is abundant and well established and well known at this point. So clearly, it is not an evidence based reason.
No,
we all know this, and I will talk to Ramon tomorrow. But that being said, the weed portion, I think, agree with you, Pat, is over for now. Let's go ahead, go have a snack or something.
Yeah, time to get.
And I'm going to let Alex chat about what's new in patent law. I feel like it's a good segue from weed law to patent law.
So a fair number of new things coming through. So there was a Supreme Court decision called Arthrex, is what it's been known as in the industry now for a couple years now, and it hasn't really been implemented fully up until just recently, this past year. And the basic idea behind it is that when you get a patent, so say you get a patent for something, some weird sports medicine related thing, you're like, I had this idea, I have an invention now.
I have a new pain-free injection method.
There you go. And you have your patent on it, and someone else looks at it and says, no, he doesn't deserve that patent. That's just the combination of these two obvious things that you could put together. Everybody
I was about
knows
to
that.
say, I was like, lidocaine and triamcinolone in one go, and boom, one poke, you didn't feel a thing.
Wait, is that a 2021 ruling?
It's a 2021 ruling, but basically none of it got implemented up until mid to late 2022, which is right around when I graduated, basically. So it came in the pike after that.
Keep talking about it. I'm reading the decision now. It's 72 pages. It should be done in the next 30, 40
Weigh in at the end of the episode then, Pat. Let us know.
So the general principle is that because the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, which would be the thing that you would file what's called an inter partes review, if I'm someone who wants to challenge your patent and say, no, that's not a valid patent, that should have never been issued, bad patent office for issuing that patent, I would file an inter partes review to try to get the Patent Trial and Appeal Board to invalidate it. Well, the Supreme Court came in and said, you Patent Trial and Appeal Board, you're not an Article 3 court, you're a dirty, filthy Article 2 court. And so because of that, the director of the USPTO has to have final review on literally everything that you do. They have to be able to do anything, which includes basically invalidating your decisions. Now, interesting thing with that, the director of the USPTO is an appointed position by the president. Can you imagine the consequences of having a presidential appointee who can decide whether or not a patent is or is not valid at the drop of a hat every 4 years? Anybody want to guess what's wrong with that as an idea?
Problems?
There's a lot of problems. There's more than one. There's many problems. So that's
who decided that?
The Supreme Court of the United States.
Okay.
So 9 people that were never elected and only appointed by your duly authorized representatives who probably know very little about anything that they just decided.
If you heard the House Judiciary Committee recently talking to the director of the USPTO, Kathy Vidal, I was listening to them. Thankfully, a lot of them were surprisingly like honest and humble about the fact that we don't really know much about this. Thank you for educating us about this topic as we ask you questions about it and try to like figure out what you're going to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, it looks like Kathy Vidal, the current USPTO director, has kind of come at this from a perspective of she's not going to review most things that get appealed to her at the director level. She's going to send it through the normal process of, well, you can appeal to the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, which is how it's been done up to this point, and then send it to the Article 3 courts.
Okay.
But
Okay,
a
that
future
makes sense.
administration could change that at the drop of a hat. That's just
Yeah, because it's an executive branch just basically saying this is what our policy is going to be,
exactly.
and then they could change the policy.
Yep. They can just implement a new rule whenever they want, really, for that stuff. For the most
That's
part.
not even like an executive order. That's just like a day-to-day thing that they can change, right?
So
Yeah,
are the feds, are they passing any legislation to try to curb this at all?
They are considering it. So that's kind of what was funny about this House Judiciary Committee thing is they were like, but if you wanted things to change, you could have just asked us to pass a law. And then everybody in the room laughed because, we know that they can't pass a law right now, A, and B, that they probably are too slow and incompetent to pass a law that would reasonably regulate and handle this situation in the first place. So it's just kind of like fucking
Bad
ridiculous.
lawyers become politicians. Just to keep reiterating that. Keep going, Alex.
Yeah. So that's probably...
I like that they moved from pre-contemplative to contemplative. And how do we fix this very important problem? It could easily become our problem in 2 years now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, so that's the biggest change that's coming out of that. Alongside a lot of that, the USPTO has been slowly changing their processes for like a bunch of stuff related to IPR. This same process for like, how do you contest a patent right? A lot of it has been that up to this point, if you are a tech company of some kind, say that you're Google, and someone has a patent on something that means you might have to pay them for that idea. Well, what you do is you file an IPR to lock them up in litigation and then just continue to use the patent. And then if you lose your IPR, well, there's a great thing that you can do is you go to someone else and you politely ask them, hey, have you considered this might affect you too? What if you go and file an IPR on these other grounds or these very similar grounds? And then they go lock them up in litigation for a couple more years. And then do that about 20 more times until the patent right has effectively run out and they don't get to enforce it for any significant period of time.
So you could just keep basically stonewalling someone for arguably decades because you just don't like that they have exclusivity to something because you're big tech and have money to do so?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of issues with figuring out who the real party in interest is in certain patent litigation and IPR cases. There have been a lot of open questions of like, is there any like behind the scenes stuff going on? Because it's all very closed doors. It's all very sneaky. And the patent office has kind of acknowledged, oh, this is a problem. It's an open secret that this is a big problem. So they started doing a process in the last year or two. This is the Apple v. Fintiv case. This is the big case for that allows for something called discretionary denials. So in normal law, you get what we call it one bite at the apple. If I file a lawsuit against you, Dan, because of some incident that occurred, and then we either settle the case or we like a judge decides the issue, I can't come back 2 years later and sue you on the same issue. That would be ridiculous.
Isn't that literally double jeopardy?
Right.
Well, it's double jeopardy in criminal law. In civil law, it's called it's collateral estoppel or estoppel.
Okay.
It's basically it's issue preclusion is the other way to put it.
Got it.
Pat would probably know the terms slightly better than I would, but that's the general concept. We didn't have that in patent law effectively. And as long as it wasn't literally
what term did you want me to come up with?
The term in civil litigation that is similar to estoppel or collateral estoppel or issue preclusion that you can't sue on the same exact set of issues. Which one of those would be the most accurate?
Res judicata or collateral estoppel, one of the two.
Collateral estoppel.
Of course they're Latin.
Yeah, why wouldn't they be?
Well, everything in there is Latin. And the one thing that you brought up that people wouldn't quite, normal humans wouldn't quite follow, but you're talking about who can bring a challenge to a patent. They really need to clarify who has standing to do that. Because otherwise, like you're suggesting, it's like the wild, wild west. And
there is no standing requirement currently.
They need to establish that because it's ridiculous that, like you're suggesting, that it could be an impediment to extraordinary advances in technology, like no longer being oil independent, for example, which has been something that's been blocked for many, many years by big oil.
Yeah.
Same
Weird.
thing with, that's just my best example off the top of my head. Love you, big oil. Anyways,
Please don't destroy our podcast.
Please don't come and hunt us
no.
down and kill us for speaking out against you.
No. But yeah, so standing is a separate thing as well from this. That's another issue that there's a new rules package that the USPTO is putting forward, and that's another one of the things that they've put into it is potentially adding a standing requirement for things to make it so that you can't just be some random Joe Schmo and file an IPR against any patent that you just don't like, which currently you can do whenever you want. Yeah, and then making it so that there's estoppel. There's actual estoppel. The way that they're doing it is what's called a discretionary denial. So in theory, because of Arthrex and other things, the director can say, well, we can't do the same case over again. That would be ridiculous. We're just holding this person to the same exact
holding
case.
Them hostage.
Yeah.
Well, think of it this way. Think of it like this: like individuals making these challenges, and one individual goes and makes that challenge, and without some type of collateral estoppel rule, then the next person from the same company that just challenged it makes that challenge once the other challenge fails. Wash, rinse, repeat. And the federal government, in its extrajudicial powers, like they have a vaccine court as well as you have these patent courts that are extrajudicial, governed by its own set of rules. You could literally, they're so inefficient and they're so underfunded. They take forever to get these things through the process. And so, yeah, I mean, decades of the life of the person trying to actually seek the patent, the life of the company seeking the patent, who's sunk all of its resources into this one thing. Yeah, you just destroy companies, people's lives, period.
Well, and the patent right, unlike copyright, it only lasts 20 years. So if you can just hold them for 20 years, that's over. The case, it's moot. So, yeah. So those are the big things that are changing. They're basically taking all the things that we already knew should be in the law and then just applying them to patent law. Standing and estoppel and etc.
Let's say for a second you run the world, Alex. You are king of Earth.
Oh God!
What are your proposed solutions to these very complex problems? 5 seconds go.
We're gonna solve patent law on this podcast right now.
I always do this to you, Alex. I don't know why. I think I've done this to you like twice before.
Honestly, the current rules package that is being proposed at the USPTO is pretty reasonable. They're just trying to implement some basic policies of modern law into an administrative judicial system. We should probably do a couple of things, which is A, get a legislative fix for it, which is not going to happen until we have a different Congress because we have split houses and everybody's insane right now. But
right now,
it would be great. Yeah, I know. I don't have a lot of
when
hope
you're
for
king
this,
of Earth,
but
you will change this.
I would love a legislative fix. I would love it to be clear that you can't file on the same issues, that you have to actually have a patent right that can stand up to some amount of scrutiny and not be endlessly questioned forever unto eternity. Also, I would probably kick the western and or eastern districts of Texas in the teeth and say, stop taking all the patent cases, you jackasses, and create a separate court system for it, because they're currently being huge assholes about it.
Is there any reason behind that, to your knowledge?
Judicial capture, basically, by companies.
Oh, okay.
It's not far off from that.
Got it.
It's really gross. So there's a judge. It's currently the Western District. It used to be the Eastern District, or maybe I have those flipped. But whichever it is, it's been Texas the whole time. There's a judge there who says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have trial in 7 months." They set that timeline specifically so that it's fast enough that you can't go into the IPR process through the USPTO to question validity of the patents. The thing is that they're lying, and they know they're lying about that timeline. And the only reason they give that timeline is so you can't use the IPR process. And so you have to go through the litigation process, which is more expensive than the IPR process is generally.
What?
Yeah. That judge is intentionally doing this to make it so that there's not going to be parallel proceedings. And normally what would happen is if it goes to IPR or if it's in litigation, one of the two would get stayed. And this judge is just like, I don't want to do that. So we're just going to decide the issues before the USPTO, who are the specialists on this topic and have judges who are specialists in these technical fields. We're not going to let them make the decision. I, a judge with no technical expertise whatsoever, I'm going to make this decision. Okay, brilliant. Love it. But stop. Please stop.
I was going to say, that just sounds like scope, overstep.
Sounds like to me somebody needs to do an interlocutory appeal on him deciding to just continue to proceed before it gets to trial, and make the court above him deal with his and tell him, stop doing this. You can't do this anymore.
They've been scolded multiple times. They've been told by upper courts not to do it, and then they keep doing it.
So where's the teeth?
And the teeth is that he could be impeached or he could be censured by the Texas judicial ethics. I mean, that's pretty much it.
I don't know what the impeachment process is like in Texas for getting rid of a federal judge at that level, but it wouldn't be in Texas. It's a federal judge, so it'd be the federal
judge. It'd be at the DC level, or it'd start at the that region. And then
how do you impeach a judge at this level?
Ethics committee.
Is it going to be you need a majority of Congress to do it?
Probably 2/3 would be my guess.
Yeah, so that's not happening.
Yeah, it's never happened.
Yeah, that's literally never going to happen.
We can't get 50 of them to agree on something, let alone 2/3. Also, like, I know this is neither here or there. The 2/3 thing is just some horse shit. Everything else is simple majority, and then suddenly we need 2/3 for stuff. No.
I mean, for impeachment, it kind of makes some amount of sense to like have a slightly higher standard, because otherwise every time you had a majority flip, they might just go through, if they were really mean, and just wipe everybody out from the prior administration.
Right. Oh, I see. Oh, that makes more sense when you put it that way.
You want some consistency of administration of government. Some consistency is nice.
There's logic and reason to that approach.
No.
Well, I mean, you brought up me making patents for medical devices. I guess I could kind of segue into that and talk about what's new in medicine, which, at least since I've not been out of training for very long, but out of med school for a minute. In sports medicine, not dramatic amount. My conference was a lot of, I don't know if it's just because I've gone to this conference for multiple years now, or that I've had my foot in the sports medicine realm long enough. It doesn't feel like there was a whole lot new. There's a lot new in terms of concussion, because concussion is ultimately, for all intents and purposes, a new diagnosis. It's only 20 years old. So when people are like, why is there so many new things in concussion? I'm like, well, it's a brand new diagnosis. Concussion was discovered in 2001. And ultimately, I know we've had traumatic brain injury forever, but as far as concussion, sports concussion, its attention, it's only existed for 20 some years. So the return to play protocols, the evaluation, how we do that, we've gotten very good at it. But that's it. That's kind of all that's new. There's no ways to regrow cartilage. There's no cures for arthritis. PRP is good for tendinopathies, not for arthritis. At least it's not particularly optimistic. PRP is platelet-rich plasma, which is what people are all hyped up about in hyphae and have been for 10 years.
So you're going to start using like normal words so that I can even follow your conversation, because the listener just fell asleep. Say what you just said in normal words.
So Troy Polamalu, back in, I think it was like 2012, 2013, had like an MCL sprain in the playoffs. And he had a PRP injection, which is platelet-rich plasma. It's your own blood taken, spun down in a centrifuge, and they take the golden stuff. That is a concentrated form of your plasma, which has something like 100-fold concentration of platelets. Your platelets are what release your like healing and growth factors. You stick that into an injured thing, and you hope it stimulates a healing response.
Wow.
Which is usually an inflammatory response. So it has a lot of properties for like tendons, because what happens is you get muscle dysfunction, you get imbalances, your muscles don't work good. So the tendon sees more of the force and it gets worn out, and then it gets scarred. And that's what tendinosis is. And that's how you get things like rotator cuff tears, because you beat up your rotator cuff tendon forever until it tears. So PRP has a role in that, but that's been established for several years. It may be overstated in the research, but it's almost always an adjunct combined with physical therapy to fix the muscle, which is like the underlying problem. So sports med, not much new, not dramatic earth-shattering changes. But I'd like to bring attention to is a couple of things that happened in the major is actual medicine. Oh my God, the site changed. Hold on. I had the thing.
Yes, changed in actual medicine, which means that Dan is calling himself not actual medicine.
It's more like I'm just not in the hospital anymore. I'm not doing like primary care. I just do sports. I just do joints. And I don't think it's not medicine. I just think I'm...
It's specialized.
You're medicine adjacent? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Medicine adjacent. No, I just feel like I do the same thing all day, every day. So you know how in the future episode I talked about how like there's going to be radio labeled like specific tagged things to genetic signatures for cancers and whatnot, and very targeted therapies instead of going through chemo where you kill all the cells hoping you kill the cancer cells faster. So already in 2022, there is what's called a PSMA targeted therapy for prostate cancer, meaning that they can inject a form of radio tracer to actually attach to proteins that are found on prostate cancerous cells. It's already passed phase 3 trials, and it's already shown dramatic increased accuracy for detecting prostate cancer, detecting metastasis, meaning the cancer travels to a different part of the body. So finding those little, runaways, and then targeting them for directed radiation therapy, surgery, or systemic chemo. So basically you find it early, you find it where it's at, you kill it quickly.
So the radio labeling just makes it easier to find, basically, under
but eventually the goal is going to be tagging those radio labels with essentially a chemo-directed target to it, so that it kills those cells, not your own.
Is any of that going to be helpful to avoid the manual prostate exam?
Those aren't done anymore, Pat. If you're getting them, you've got to find a new doctor. We don't do them unless they're an old school doc who is like, I do a DRE on every patient. We've got a 25-year-old healthy male. We'll make sure we check his bum. No, that's not a thing. We don't.
Gotta stick the finger up there.
I thought it was
Patrick. Are you okay? Show me on the doll where he touched you.
I think he told you where he touched him.
I know where he touched him.
Why does it have to be about me? I was just, all men out there.
Oh, you're the oldest one here, so I figure this is...
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
No, there's a blood test. I mean, the PSA test is not the most accurate thing in the world, but it does give you prostate specific. Wow, I almost said specific antigen. And if that's increased, there's concern for either basically prostate hypertrophy.
You just took my joke and just started talking like a doctor. I'm like,
I can't help it, man. I got
Have
two
you
votes.
met your brother?
Yeah, I know.
Up. Oh, shut up. But point is, that's what we were talking about on the future episode. Is like,
you do understand he's just like a younger version of me. I was exactly the same way when I was his age. So
shut up.
Just like, I'm a doctor. Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, Dan has two modes. He has the not a doctor mode, and then the minute something slightly medical comes up, because I've this dry stuff on my hand, and I had been jokingly calling it scabies, and then realized that scabies is a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I went up to Dan and went, "Oh, Dan, do you think this is scabies?" Full and well knowing it's not. It's just dry parts on my hands. And he goes, I don't think it's really scabies. It's normally we'd see this kind of stuff, and you don't usually see it on the hands. I'm like, Dan,
shut up,
Dan. I was joking.
Oh, God. Anyways, no, I'm not. I almost fucking did it again. Stop. I almost started going into the whole scabies bit. Anyway, shut up.
Never.
So,
continue with your talk.
I guess I just wanted to bring up two other things. So I think this is cool. In my primary care background, I don't talk about cholesterol much now being in sports med, but there is a new targeted treatment for LDL. So LDL is your bad cholesterol, right? LDL is your low density lipoproteins. HDL is your good cholesterol. So HDL high, good. LDL high, bad. Statins are the big thing that people know of and relate to. And people talk about statins are so good for you. You put them in the water, and heart disease is the main killer of everyone. The problem is statins have a high rate of basically side effects, mainly being muscle fatigue, muscle pains. So if you've ever been on a statin, Patrick, that is the big complication or risk. 1 out of 10 people will get muscle pain from a statin, which is a lot when you think about side effects and complications. there's a new drug called, oh God, where is it? I can't find it. Inclisiran, which is a twice, and the other thing is obviously taking a daily med is a problem. Some people just don't, or they forget, or people don't want to take pills, which is understandable. Inclisiran is an injection twice a year that is a targeted LDL lowering therapy, and it is starting to show as effective, if not more so, than basically statins. It was approved by the FDA in December of 2021 and is potentially a game changer for heart disease patients. So
insurance won't cover it.
Anyways, not yet, because it's expensive.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised if it does very soon. So if you, and here's the thing, the little teaching bit, there's triglycerides, which is the cholesterol you get from your food. And then there's LDL, which is the cholesterol you got from grandma. Your LDL is largely dictated by genetics. Some people come in and their LDLs are 70 and they're ridiculously low and they're very healthy and the heart disease doesn't run in their family. And then you have people who come in and their LDLs are like 250 and their blood is like syrup. And that's just how they are. And they have a heart attack at 35. Those are the people that are going to be best served by this, because exercise, diet doesn't really impact your LDL that much. It really is only treated by medicine. So that's why that's a big deal, because it's heart disease is the major killer in America and, well, the worldwide. And then I think this isn't news, but the new treatments for type 2 diabetes. So everybody probably have heard about Ozempic, the GLP-1s, which are the injections like once a week or once a month, depending on which one you're talking about, and how there was this bum rush for them because he got FDA approved for weight loss. So people don't want to get on a treadmill or change what they eat. They just want to stick themselves with something. But there's also...
That sounds dangerous.
It's if you dose it wrong, which, by the way, you're doing yourself with a needle, it can be. You can give yourself an ileus, which is like a bowel obstruction.
Oh.
That sounds fun.
Sounds. If you just endure the terrible pain and nausea for a couple days or weeks, then you'll be fine. But basically, I
like the trains moving on time, honestly.
The trains moving on time. Point is, they're very good medications. There's something called GIPs that are out now. I know very little about these, but apparently they're in similar families, and there's still ongoing research about them. Glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptides. But the GLP-1s are really good in terms of like a 6-month. They're getting to the point where they're spacing them out more and more, and people are getting more weight loss, better blood glucose control. So like these are the exciting things that are happening in medicine. When you talk about the things that are going to kill you, the things where there's a lot of money in, like heart disease prevention, those are the things that get the funding, and then we find medicines, and they discover and implement medicines like these that actually are very efficacious.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Focus on the heart and male genitals. I mean, those are the top two.
Yeah,
two most important body parts.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, no, women don't exist in the medical world, apparently.
Oh yeah.
They are working on things to target the same.
Yeah, when you talk about breast cancer. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You beat me to it. But like that's just one thing that's most recent I've seen in the research. So, all right, now that I put the listeners to sleep, it's just like for me, these are exciting things because when you talk about preventative care and primary care, there's not. The studies show we help you live maybe 6 months to a year longer when you combine everything from blood pressure to heart disease to diabetes to weight control. But for a lot of these people where they're actually targeted, you just have these people who are poorly controlled diabetics despite doing everything right, people with heart disease that they can't control. That's the thing. Those are the people that are going to benefit the most. So, and across the board for those on the American diet. So, all right. So, Ben, regale us with all the space.
All right, so I'm going to talk in words that everybody can understand.
You have 16 minutes.
Appreciate it, Ben.
Perfect. Oh boy, all right, so what's changed since I got out of school? My senior design project, like the capstone project that we did, was designing a theoretical, like, missions to the moon to like get ready to go to Mars and test stuff for Mars. Well, now we're actually doing that. Like we're going to do that. And we had to like figure out what rockets to send things up on. And all of those rockets that we were like relying on for that were still in the future. So we're like, they're supposed to have this much lift, that kind of stuff. Yeah, those have all launched now in terms of like, so we know they're happening, or mostly launched.
Oh, yeah, recent events.
Whoopsies.
That was, I mean, a lot went wrong with that, but this isn't going to be this isn't going to be me defending the crater in the ground that is at Boca Chica, that they made and could have prevented if they had just waited a month.
Most people have no idea what you're talking about. Just so you know.
Okay, so it did creep into main news. So what I'm talking about is
assume nothing.
yeah, I guess this was 2 weeks ago now. SpaceX launched did a trial launch of their ginormous, like, I can't understate how freaking big this rocket is. And they were launching from South Texas, and their goal was to get it in a big arc and then like do separation and then not land it, like it would ditch in the water,
not
crash into the ocean off of Hawaii, not just off, like in the giant amounts of ocean near Hawaii. Basically, they didn't put most rockets, because of the very violent actions that happen below a rocket when it's taking off, not just from the fact that there's flames, but it's also so loud, the sound waves will bounce back and forth and just obliterate things below it. And so if you've ever seen at a rocket, they'll dump a bunch of water down first. That's not so things, well, it is so things don't light on fire, but it's mostly sound ablation. It absorbs the sound to keep it from wrecking what's under it.
That's kind of crazy.
So in South Texas, when they were launching this rocket, the most powerful rocket that has ever been launched, like bar none, they did not have that. They had concrete pads down, and
I'm sorry, that's a very weird sentence. Concrete pads?
Like they had slabs of concrete down under it. This rocket was so powerful and didn't get off the pad very quickly, and it basically tore a hole. It absolutely obliterated, and I mean that in the literal sense. The concrete
sound
under
waves
it,
coming from it,
sound waves, and just
up,
the heat and everything.
Yeah.
It literally obliterated the concrete and shot dust particles of concrete, like, I want to say 10 to 15 kilometers.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, like it was big. To the point where
SpaceX again?
Just some guy.
Some guy.
Like, that's what I am trying to keep this, like, because Musk is a very polarizing figure in terms of, like, yeah, whatever.
Everything.
And
what?
Yeah.
Am I fully convinced that they launched on 420? Which, by the way, they launched on 420 because, of course, they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Alex K just audibly rolled his eyes.
Audibly.
I didn't even think about it at the time when it happened, but yeah, that sounds like.
But yeah, they made this giant crater. Apparently, all the structures are sound and that kind of stuff. But yeah, to the point where not Department of Agriculture, but like they're getting, there's an investigation going on, and they're getting sued because of damages they have caused. But yeah, so that's a long way of saying this rocket, because it will likely eventually work. But this rocket is so unbelievably large, it straight up changes everything, because forever, the hardest thing is getting, like, you are constrained by mass and volume. So how much things weigh and how big they are of getting things into space. The Starship is so ridiculously large that, there's new companies. I was just at this conference. Actually have one of the cards right here for a company called. They're making satellite buses for Starship and New Glenn, which is Blue Origin's big rocket, that size of stuff, because eventually, like, it's just gonna happen. So yeah, the mass and volume problem is starting to get solved. The other one is gravitics. They're doing the same thing, but for space stations.
What is gravitics? Is that a company?
It's a company, yeah.
Okay, just make sure it wasn't a term.
No. They're making space stations, but that are sized to fit in these very, very large rockets. So I got to do a quick VR demo of the inside of their space station, and you look around and it looks big, and then they go, so this interior volume, which looks pretty big, is about half of the volume, just over half the volume of the inside of the International Space Station. And that's one module.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That not only made me realize how big that was, but also how small the interior
Yeah, I was
volume,
going to say, I was about to say, I was
is.
like, how many hundreds to maybe a couple thousand square feet are we talking? I don't
it's
actually know.
Small.
Rapid Googling.
Yep, sure is. It is
Clickety, clickety. Yeah, exactly.
internal pressurized volume of the ISS is about equal to the internal volume of a 747 jet.
That's it.
That is, I had never seen that comparison, and this is from NASA. That is absurdly small.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
For people to spend like a year at a time or more on. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's why those astronauts are not built like me. I can tell you that much.
No, they're not.
I can barely make it down the middle row of the 747, let alone an area that's only the 747. Crap.
Now imagine also having to be strapped into a Soyuz where you're sitting like this, and right here there's another person sitting like this, and you're in spacesuits and can barely move.
I'm
thinking I die of a heart attack as we jettison into the.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, not happening.
Well, we got new medicines for that, Pat. I'm just telling
But
you.
on bumps.
But so yeah, there's that. I mean, that's the launch side of things changing. Falcon, SpaceX landing rockets. They have in the last it's been 4 years. They have landed successfully over 100 times in a row.
Holy shit! Really?
Yes. Yeah. The next closest is 1.
Hold on, I lost you.
They are
100 times in a row or 100 times total?
In a row successfully, and that's
in a row. Okay.
They are. It is unbelievable how
consistent,
reliable it is. They're consistent, and they're
that's awesome.
They're such a big outlier. But I mean, other things are, all right, the ISS is getting old. There's leaks. There's apparently smells really, really, really bad up there because it's just stale air. Fun side note. I was listening to a podcast about alcohol in space, and they apparently aged some scotch up in space for a bit, which we don't need to talk about the fact that it technically then isn't scotch, but whatever. I think it was Ardbeg. And they came back down and had it tasting. Apparently it had tasting notes of rubber and fish.
Gross. I hate that. God. I hate everything about that.
I love when my scotch tastes like rubber and fish.
I don't even like scotch to begin with because I don't like smoky drinks. You don't need to have...
The smoky notes of salmon and rubberized tire.
Yes.
The good beer flavor in this, just so I can taste it.
Everyone's favorite whiskey: smoked salmon and rubber.
It's Pirelli. So the ISS is getting old. So there's currently a thing, commercial LEO destinations, commercial low Earth orbit destinations, where companies are going to be developing space stations for commercial space stations. And that's not even counting this company called Axiom, they're already put 3 astronauts up and back to the space station. They're going to do another 3 in July. And they're going to actually build a module and attach it to the International Space Station for a bit and put a couple more on so that when the ISS gets decommissioned, they'll just detach and become a free flyer rather than, but yeah. So that leaves me with a number of questions.
Alex, you can answer the questions if you think you can. I can't. So where do we sue the companies that kill their employees while they're in space on these space stations due to negligence or failure to properly manufacture?
You just sue them wherever the corporation is incorporated.
I guess so.
That is how it is working for now.
Space courts, the final frontier.
Oh my god, space law.
Space arbitration is apparently a thing. There's a budding industry of space arbitration.
Oh, space law is because there's like one or two things they can base anything off of, and it's like dating back to the 70s of what they can like base their cases off of. So space law is a very up and coming field, but currently, from what I understand, it is because this is how they're ruling it for debris and such. Whatever country it was launched from is like for the debris. That's where they're at. So like if the Falcon 9 thing, like whatever, then it would be the US is responsible for that. But yeah, I think it's going to be wherever the company's probably incorporated at. So, there's going to be lots of Liechtenstein.
There's a big thing in US law think about planes, where the plane launched from versus where it crashes when plane crashes happen. When I was taking my Civil Procedure 2 class, I found out about what is, in my opinion, some of the worst gamesmanship in the law that I've ever heard of, which is choice of law. That sometimes just because where you're choosing to sue the person does not mean that that's the law you're going to apply. Yep. So I sue you in Texas, but you hurt me in Oklahoma. If Oklahoma is the place where the tort happened and you did a certain number of things to create enough connections that it's reasonable for you to be sued under that law, I can sue you in Texas under Oklahoma law, and Texas judges have to adjudicate Oklahoma law.
Space courts.
What?
100%. I'm
oh my god.
Oh,
chaos.
Oh, it's going to be fucking nuts. So yeah. It could be that they sue them where the rocket launched from, but they have to adjudicate under the laws of the country where the debris landed. That could happen. That could be a thing.
And a lot of the stuff that they're trying to figure out how to do this, they're going to like, okay, how do we do it for international water rules? Like, if something happens on ships.
International law is so flimsy. I bet that in law school. It's just. It's just
my wife's really into international law. I was joking with her that it's fake law because there's no enforcement mechanism.
Yeah, I know. What's the enforcement mechanism?
Is it like monopoly money?
In The Hague. I mean, The Hague can only do criminal acts, and it's wild west.
I mean, the way to think of it, Dan, based on your question, the way to think of it is, if I tell you not to do something, and you're like, okay, but what if I do it? And I'm just like, I'll be really mad at you. And you're like,
pout at you. I will frown at you.
But I can still do it. That's international law. I can be mad at you, but you can still do it.
Got it. Noted.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, so basically, and I only have scratched the surface. I didn't even get into, massive satellite constellations. That's changed a whole bunch since I got out of school. Those didn't exist, and now the single largest owner-operator of satellites is SpaceX. If you wonder why they keep coming up, there's a reason. They are the single biggest outlier in probably almost any industry that has ever happened. That's how crazily successful SpaceX is.
Why are they so successful? It's not Elon, I don't think.
It's a combination between their work ethic and they hire great people. I couldn't tell you because there's so many people trying to copy what they're doing, but they're just, like I said, they're the biggest outlier in an industry possibly ever. I can't 100% back that up, but they're so far out front of everybody else.
They're also accepting a lot of financial losses as part of all of this, and they're getting a lot of government subsidies for a lot of the work that they do. That all contributes as well.
Well, I was going to say, don't a lot of tech and space companies have those exact same things? I'm just wondering if it really comes down to people, that makes sense to me. but I would have thought that subsidizing space travel would be across the board company thing.
It's also not just Elon. Honestly, the fact that they hired Gwen Shotwell, their CEO, so early, and she stayed there, and the one thing that makes me feel good is that he is not the CEO of SpaceX, so if he goes down for one of his various shenanigans things, SpaceX is probably still fine.
Yeah. He's like a figurehead.
Their CEO is somebody totally different who has, she has a Twitter account. She has posted 0 tweets.
Approved.
I think I fall into that category too. I could be someone's CEO. Hire me, SpaceX.
But yeah, she's just got a clean nose and oh no, you're not in your 20s anymore.
Nose?
You don't want to work at SpaceX.
Fair enough.
And she can tell him no. Like she knows how to do that.
Fair enough. That's an art too.
Yeah, it's
telling a narcissistic egomaniac.
Yep.
No. Yeah, that's probably a challenge.
I've learned, at least in a lot of practice of getting people to do what I want, is you present an idea and you make it seem like it was their idea, and
their
then
idea.
they run with it. That's how you deal with narcissists. If you make it all about them, they'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that's just life advice. That being said, I think we're going to bring this to a close here pretty quick. Any last minute tidbits? Anything people wanted to talk about and didn't get to shout out? Cool.
I completely understand, based on this discussion, why people hate lawyers in the law, because even I just am floored at the stupidity that comes from our profession.
Yep.
That was amazing.
Closing thoughts.
Ben and I were supposed to talk about our fields mostly, and it's still law kept creeping in. You guys find a way to just
because
make
we're
things
everywhere.
difficult.
We're like infectious disease.
You guys,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for being here with me. We're all remote. I think we're all literally in 4 different states right now, but this was fun. Appreciate your guys' time.
We got to do this where we're actually like live
room.
broadcasting. Oh no, forget that. I really don't need to see you guys. No offense.
Well, streaming wouldn't be a bad thing. We can talk about that in the future. But that being said, follow us along on all major podcast platforms. Download the episodes to show your support. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever the verbiage is. We have a Reddit now. We've had one for a while, but I figure this is where I now announce it. Thank you, Alex, for taking the...
I gave you the permissions to access it now. Dan is the overqualified idiot who will probably be moderating and actually adding things to it.
I promise to plug it in my interview for the Best of Mankato. Plug the podcast.
I love it. Yes.
I'll do 2 plugs. I've already known. I know because they'll interview me and they'll put something in the magazine. One,
that's awesome.
Where I went to college, Ripon, where Alex is going. And 2, not this Alex, my son.
Your son, Alex, yes.
And just to be clear, Alex K is not my son. So
they got it.
Not at all.
All right. And then overqualified idiots. So
hell yeah. No. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us. Follow us on social media. Contribute to the Reddit. Say what you want to hear. Vote on things you guys want us to talk about, or more things that you like, enjoy. Share your favorite episode. Whatever comes up, there will be polls. That being said, we will see you guys next week, and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There it is.